Hey everybody, and welcome back. So I have my trusty postage stamp album here, and if you follow my channel, you know that I've been stocking this with as many cool American stamps I can find, and I've come across a lot of really cool ones from history, from recent history, just really quite a lot of very old and significant stamps like this one, the victory stamp. So I thought today, I've got a few pages left, but I continue. This is where we left off in the last video. And I have some more stamps to show you. Belva and Lockwood. A Continental Navy stamp. I don't think we've seen this one yet. US 10 cents. This would probably be around the time of the bicentennial. I would guess around 1976. This is another one of the bicentennial era stamps. America's light, sustained by love of liberty. This is Wild Pink, Arethusa bulbosa. It looks like an orchid. Very cool, very colorful. Good old Christmas sculpture stamp. Luca della Robbia. I'm pretty sure we've seen this one already, but it doesn't hurt to put it in here because it's pretty. Another Christmas stamp. Giorgione, circa 1478 to 1510. I think we might have also seen this one. It's been a while, but you know, there's going to be some duplicates, I'm sure. Friendship with Morocco, 1787 to 1987. This is John Bull, train engine, 1831. The CPA exam. I'm pretty sure I've seen this one, but I'm an accountant, so it's kind of cool to see this. Certified Public Accountants. A stamp honoring us. Veterans of World War I. When I was a kid, I knew quite a few of them. We had a neighbor who was a veteran of World War I, and he even drew me a picture when I was very young of a doughboy, and it was really good, and I wish I'd kept it over the years, and I don't know what happened to it. He drew it on a piece of yellow lined note paper, and he drew it back in around 1979 because I was in kindergarten when he drew it. It's a very cute stamp of a puppy and a kitten, and the message is quite clear, to have a pet and take good care of them. USA Homemakers, a 5-cent stamp, and it looks like a needlepoint type of design of a house and a couple raising some livestock. It's a very Americana, picturesque, kind of folksy stamp that's supposed to evoke some emotions of home and domestic bliss. This is a cool Christmas stamp. It just says greetings, 29 cents, and it's got a happy snowman on it. This is Help End Hunger, and it shows 3 hungry people, 2 children, and 1 elderly person. So, obviously, a problem we are still working on solving all over the world. Oops, I bumped the camera. This is Enrico Caruso, 22 cents. I think we've seen this already, but this war chief, I think we put them all in here, but I'll go ahead and put it in. This is a 2-cent postage due stamp from back in the day. Something that doesn't happen anymore. Neat little piece of history. This is Airmail, 6 cents, United States of America. Classic, 40s or 50s. It's funny, I have a whole stack of them. Gordell Hole, United States postage, 5 cents. A large 22-cent stamp that shows the whole Capitol Mall, of the people, by the people, and for the people. Edgar Lee Masters, American poet. I've never seen this stamp. Very cool. 6 cents. Washington saves his army at Brooklyn. Might have seen this one, but nonetheless, it's very cool and historical. Congratulations, 22 cents. This is one of the earlier theme stamps that were designed to put on specific things like graduation cards or weddings or whatever. So they didn't do that until, they didn't start doing that until around the late 70s, early 80s, when they decided that they could sell more stamps if they made theme stamps. The sesquicentennial of the Capitol, 1800 to 1950, so that tells you when this stamp was made, and that looks very much like the image on the back of the $20 bill. The Gadsden Purchase, U.S. postage, 1853. Probably this is a 1953 stamp. I imagine it's the centennial of it. Montana. It's got a cowboy, a nice view, and it's a 1989 stamp. You can tell when the stamp has much more detail, it takes longer for it to focus on my camera. Here's seriously? An 1892 stamp? Wow. This stamp is from 1892. That's something you don't come across very often in, you know, just a grab bag of stamps. I'm kind of amazed to have one this old on my hands. This one is very old. Let's put this guy in to be protected. A good 1982 Franklin Roosevelt stamp. Look at all the detail on it. His ring, his cigarette, his watch. I mean, look at all of the detail on this stamp. He was a very debonair looking president, and he inspired lots of confidence with his fireside chats and his demeanor. He looked confident, he looked like he was in charge, and he looked like he had a plan that he would follow through with. So it was probably a good feeling to have him as president. Charles Evans Hughes. This is a 1962 stamp. Very severe looking man. Great detail. Georgia, and we see some Spanish moss on this tree. A 1788 state stamp. Uniting Communities, United Way, 1987. The rainbow, and at that time really just didn't really have as much meaning as it has now. This was more of a generic image of just communities being united. So and we have another state stamp like the Georgia one we just saw. This is South Carolina, 1788. And we see some palm trees. Bertrand Revel, maybe. I'm sorry, Bernard Revel. And I don't know if he's a rabbi. He is wearing, well, it looks to be yarmulke, but I don't know who he is, so it's something to look up. Or you can always comment and let me know. A good I like Ike stamp here. Dwight Eisenhower, 1960. Well, he is 1953 to 1961 was his presidency, and has his signature on the top. Another Bernard Revel we're going to set aside since we just put one on that page. This is an Olympic stamp, 1984 Olympics, and is that kayaking, I suppose? Well, we've seen that one. Oops. Palace of the Governor, Santa Fe, New Mexico. I think we might have it on another page, but we haven't seen it on this video. Coal car, 1870s, a balk rate, 13.2 cent stamp. Joseph Priestley, 20 cents, USA. The U.S. Constitution, We the People, 1987 stamp. It's U.S. Savings Bonds, 50th anniversary. So when I was in the military, one option was you could have part of your pay go in savings bonds, which I probably should have done looking back on it, because I would have had an investment, and by the time I retire, they probably would have a little value. But I think it's kind of too late in the game to do it now. Season's greetings, 22 cents. I'm not saying don't buy savings bonds. I'm just saying if you're going to buy them when you're young. If you're old and decrepit like me, you need to look into a riskier investment. That's a cute love puppy stamp with that drawing, and I do remember that one in the 80s being very popular. This is Boys Club of America movement, 1860 to 1960. That profile looks a little bit like John F. Kennedy, doesn't it? I don't think it's supposed to be, but it. Well, let me see something here. 1860. This must be a 1960 stamp, but I don't think. Well, I mean, Kennedy was running for president at that time. There's an old duck stamp. Did you remember Fargo when Norm, son of a Gunderson, he was an artist and he was painting the duck stamps, and Margie was trying to tell him, you know, getting a 3-cent stamp was great because people needed those. That was a good seed. A Brother Jonathan 1832 train engine. Very cool. What's this? This is, at this time, that statement was not as, that word was not considered bad, but some people would consider a bad word now, but it's a stamp for special needs kids. So, but that is, it does also show how things have changed over time and how meanings of words have changed, most likely because this word was used so many times in a cruel way, which is unfortunate because it was a word that had a meaning. It originally was intended to be a respectful word, but cruel people destroyed the meaning of it. So we've had to come up with new words for that. And that is what it is. And the fact of the matter is I think it's one of those things where we all know it's kind of true, even if people like me who don't like censorship, you know, still I must acknowledge that there is a lot of cruelty attached to that word now. So, but I am not a fan of censorship either. We already seen this one. But I am a fan of respect. There's nothing wrong with that. Here's a stamp for William Harding, widely considered one of the worst presidents in history, 1865 to 1923. If you watch the show Boardwalk Empire, they reference him quite a little bit. Then the Teapot Dome. Wait a minute. Was it the Teapot Dome scandal under Harding? I believe it was. And was it Belk? Gosh, I might be getting my scandals mixed up here. Orville Grant and Belknap. That was one scandal under Grant's administration, and then Harding, I think, was the Teapot Dome. Yeah, you can. There's been so many scandals you can mix them up. I swear. Here's two. Ben Franklin, signer of the Declaration and Constitution, U.S. Minister to France, Benjamin Franklin. If you watch the show John Adams, they do a great Ben Franklin. The actor who plays him, he was in the Full Monty. I can't recall his name, but he did a great Benjamin Franklin. It was really entertaining. Lighthouses. Admiralty Head, Washington. Beautiful lighthouse. Very, very cool. of the people, by the people, for the people. That is a quote from Abraham Lincoln. Shall not perish from this. I think that's from the Gettysburg Address. 7 years ago, our fathers put forth on this land a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the principle that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether such a nation can stand. I believe it's from the Gettysburg Address, and I'd have to quote the whole thing to get to it. It's like going through song lyrics. But I used to have the whole Gettysburg Address memorized, but it's been a while since I've had to quote it. I've never seen this one. Very colorful. Credit Union Act of 1934. I might have seen it, but it's just an unusual looking U.S. stamp here. And I'm excited to have it. Okay. Have we seen this one? This is a rose stamp. Just a pretty stamp with roses on it. An orange rose and those little pink flowers. It's very nice. My mom used to love to grow roses, and she grew a white rose called John F. Kennedy that she got the cultivar for, and she liked to grow those. She would grow wild strawberries. When we lived in Texas, she had flower beds all around the house, and roses and strawberries and stuff, and I would go around in summertime and pick the strawberries and eat them right there, and it was really cool. This is another one of those bicentennial stamps. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. It's just covered in cancellation ink. I know we've seen this one, but I can't get enough of these Win the War stamps. And I want to preserve every one I see, because obviously they're not making any more of them. That was the quintessential victory stamp from World War II. And it deserves a place of preservation in this book. I'll get a sip of coffee. Ooh. Trans-Pacific Airmail, 1935. Look at that big plane. Wow. Just think, from 1903 to 1935, how much the technology of airplanes came. Wow. Look at this one. The three great Union generals of the Civil War, Grant, Sherman, and Sheridan, the trio, and they would also go on to the Plains Indian Wars. Now, I was born in Georgia, so obviously I was raised to not like Sherman, but still, no one can deny he was a brilliant general. Grant was also a brilliant general. Sheridan, well, I mean, there's no question all three of them were great. Sheridan was more, I associate him more with the Plains Indian Wars. Not necessarily in a positive way, but that was the times. This is the Red Ribbon AIDS Awareness Stamp. Tuscanini. I'm pretty sure we've seen this one, but it's still a cool stamp, so I'm going to put it back in. We've seen the Brother Jonathan. But look at this pharmacy, United States postage. Look at the pestle and the grinder. Oh, I'm sorry, I keep hitting the camera. It looks like iodine and something else. Very neat. this? Ooh, another really cool science fiction stamp from the 80s. I really like it. Johns Hopkins, the namesake for the famous hospital. Honoring General George S. Patton Jr. and the Armored Forces of the U.S. Army. 3 cents, so I would say this was right shortly after his death in 1945 in Germany. Oh no, I'm afraid he died in Luxembourg. Well, that's where he's buried at least, because that's where his grave is at. But he was killed in a car accident, which is really ironic. That he went through so much in World War. Well, actually, let's go all the way back to Pancho Villa. You know, then World War One, then World War II. Patton had been through a lot. Very controversial figure, but nonetheless, an effective general. My cousin Alvin served with him in World War II. Told me some stories about it. He was an officer under Patton, and I don't think he was particularly fond of him. That was a love stamp I just put in. It speaks for itself. Enrico Caruso. I think we've seen this one before, but I'll put it in. The 500th anniversary of Columbus landing in Puerto Rico. There's a piece of tape on it. And very cool stamp. The Centennial of American Institute of Architects, 1957. Huh, I've never seen this one, I don't believe. Francis Perkins, 15 cents USA. I don't think I've seen this one either. John Sloan, American artist, 1871 to 1951. And there's a painting. Very nice. Look at this one. Sturbridge Lion. I don't think I've ever seen this one. It doesn't even look like a canceled stamp. Wow, it's the mint condition looking. You see that? It looks great. Oh, we saw the John Bull. Champion of Liberty, Reuter, mayor of Berlin, Ernst Reuter. 1948. Well, 1948 is a significant year. That's the year of the Berlin airlift. I wonder if he had something to do with that. Roberto Clemente, baseball player. Alaska Statehood, 1984 stamp, and there's a very pretty stamp with this moose on it. Makes me think a little bit of Northern Exposure. I used to love watching that show. The 50th anniversary of Devil's Tower National Monument. Ooh, that's cool looking. District of Columbia Bicentennial, 1903. It's a very colorful stamp. Shows a street scene with the streetcars, horse-drawn carriages going down. Okay. Get some coffee. Zinnia flowers. And I'm not a horticulturist, so I couldn't even tell you which one of these is the zinnia. So. Abigail Adams, the wife of John Adams, the mother of John Quincy Adams. If you watch the great HBO show John Adams with Paul Giamatti, she's played by the lady who's in Ozark. She did a really good job playing her. Oh, keep bumping the camera. Let me move this over. Valley Forge, and you see General Washington praying. Christmas stamp. Another pretty Christmas stamp of a Madonna and Child from 1975. Ghirlandaio National Gallery. The Gift of Self, American Red Cross. It shows a nurse holding a baby. Oh, I like this stamp a lot. American Short-Hair Cat and Persian Cat. 2 cats from 1 stamp. It's kind of like a tabby there on the left. International Peace Garden, 1982 stamp. Virginia Statehood. That's a nice stamp. That's an old George Washington 1-cent stamp from the 1930s or so. I remember this stamp very clearly from the 80s. It's a Vermont statehood stamp. I used to think it was really pretty. And I did get to go to Vermont in the 90s, and I thought it was a really nice state. Robert F. Kennedy, and this is a big stamp and a great profile of him. Here's a ice skating scene or sledding scene. Season's greetings. Looks like the 70s. Register to vote, 5 cents. Albert Einstein, 8 cents. Walk in the Water, steamship stamps. I remember that when this set came out, I believe it was the 90s because I bought it at the post office. It was one of the first full sets I had ever bought when I really became a serious stamp collector. Oh, there's 2 of these. Grandma Moses. Really, she started painting real late in life. She was like in her 70s or 80s, and she made these really colorful, happy paintings of the kind of folk arty about American life that she remembered it. She passed away a long time ago, but a lot of people, she was very popular when I was a kid. It's also kind of like the idea that it's never too late to start something in life, except savings bonds. It is too late to start those. Here's a stamp I've never seen in my life, a jukebox stamp. Pre-sorted first class, 1995, a USA jukebox. I have never seen this stamp in my life, and I really like it. Put it in this book. I mean, this is a stamp that I would go out of my way to probably order just to own. John Adams, 2 cents. Kind of goes with that Washington one right there. From the same series. The Moon Lunar Orbiter. Very, very cool. This is what Michael Collins would have flown while Neil and Buzz were on the surface of the moon. And then when they were ready, they would blast off the limb. The lunar, I think it was the lunar, what's the limb stand for? Something lunar module, and then it would come up and connect with the orbiter in space. I'm going to put this one right here. And then I fill in that hole. I'm going to put in this Frank Lloyd Wright stamp. I think it was the lunar egress module. I think that's what LIM stood for. Someone can leave a comment and help me with that one. New Hampshire, the old man of the mountain. Get some coffee. Bill Haley in the comments. You might have heard the song Rock. 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock, that song. It was a very controversial song, and it was so controversial that the movie it was in was called The Blackboard Jungle with Glenn Ford, that they wouldn't even play that movie in some towns because of the existence of this song in it. It was such a controversial song. Rock around the clock. Endangered flora. Contra Costa wallflower. I didn't know there was a series of endangered flora stamps. Freedom of speech and religion from want and fear. 1945. This is a Franklin Roosevelt had just passed away, so this was a stamp honoring him and the ideals of the American way. 2 cent George Washington stamp. This stamp was very, very old. Not exactly sure, but I think it's teens or 20s, of the 1900s. Bunker Hill, romantic painting of the Battle of Bunker Hill, bicentennial 10 cent stamp. Mary Lyon 2-cent stamp. Mount McKinley, Alaska, which is now called Mount they renamed it under Obama's administration. Oh gosh, the name escapes me, but it was Mount McKinley most of my life, and it's like right on the tip of my tongue. It's like, gosh, I can't remember what it is. It'll come to me later in the video, I'm sure. That's gonna drive me crazy. Oh, here's a Viking stamp. Leif Erikson, the son of Eric the Red. He possibly discovered the east coast of America. Famous JFK stamp, The Eternal Flame, 1963. Now I remember, that's Denali. That's the name of the mountain. That's how my memory works. Sometimes it has a delayed reaction. It has like, my memory still has dial-up. It doesn't have good Wi-Fi. Seattle World's Fair, 1962. Oh, was this it happened at the World's Fair one with Elvis Presley? I think it was. That was a movie I really liked. God, It Happened at the World's Fair. Okay, let's turn the page. I'm filling this book up. Okay, U.S. Airmail, 7 cents. Kind of very 50s, 60s looking stamp with this design. I like it a lot. And let's put in another airmail. Domestic mail, U.S. postage. No, it wasn't airmail, sorry. 1890 Stagecoach, 4 cents. Labor Day, U.S. postage. Labor is life. Pacific Calypso. Looks like a type of orchid. This is a glass Christmas ornaments, 22 cents. I remember having those and they would always break because the cat would start swatting at them. Ponce de Leon, the guy who searched for the Fountain of Youth. Lincoln Douglas debates, and this is a 1958 stamp. He was debating Stephen Douglas. He ended up losing the debates, but it did put his name in the news. Okay, finish the coffee. Aquarius splendens. Huh. It's a botanical stem. I've never seen this one. Never. Some kind of desert flower. Here's another theme stamp. P.S. Write soon. That's like if you're writing to your grandkids or something like that. And you would put that on the envelope. And it would be a good thing for, you know, writing to family members. Uncle Sam. 22-cent stamp. Oh, one of my favorite comedians of all time, Jack Benny. 29-cent stamp, and he's playing his signature violin. A flamingo. That's a pretty stamp. Here's a North Dakota statehood stamp. 1889, and a picture of a red barn on it. Here's a stamp for football. It has a Bear Bryant looking coach on it. It's a 1969 stamp. This is Horace Moses, founder of Junior Achievement. Another one to look up. Oh, here's a neat one. This is largemouth bass. And he's fixing to bite the lure there. Here's a stamp for Buffalo Bill Cody, Civil War scout, Pony Express rider, and showman from the late 1800s. Here's another space stamp, Project Mercury. Before the Apollo astronauts, we had the Mercury astronauts. And I want to say that might be John Glenn in that capsule orbiting the Earth. Here is a barred owl, wildlife conservation. Very cool looking owl here. Here's a stamp for coral reefs. Finger coral from Hawaii. Very pretty stamp. Here's another sort of simple Christmas stamp. It just says greetings and it has a little tin soldier on it. Oh, old airmail stamp, 10 cents. I don't believe I've ever seen this one. This is Love You, Dad. It's a Father's Day stamp, another theme stamp, as I was telling you about in this video. It shows the crossword puzzle, newspaper, a cup of coffee, and a pair of reading glasses. Sort of like things that you associate with Dad. This is Chief Crazy Horse, who fought against General Custer at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. This is Igor Stravinsky. I think he's a musician. I may be wrong. Here's two connected Thomas Jefferson stamps from the 30s. And here's a 1920s tow truck. Non-profit stamp. Okay. Here's three connected old George Washington stamps from the turn of the 20th century. Here's a National Capital Seska Centennial. I'm not sure. Haven't we seen this one? I'm going to say maybe we've already seen this one. Well, I'm going to put it in anyway. Delaware. Look at that stamp. Very colorful. It's got the color bar thing on the left of it too. Like this was from a mint block. Here's a very cool nonprofit org stamp with Monument Valley on it, which is very cool. Another love stamp, 29 cents, kind of a theme stamp. If you put that stamp on your letter, that people might get the idea that you love them, so be careful if you're going to use that one. Here's a pleasant, homey Christmas stamp that looks like it's knitted, and you got a Christmas tree all in yarn with ornaments on it. I don't think we've seen the little rocking horse Christmas stamp, and here it is. Another Lincoln stamp. Once again, I'm questioning if we already saw this one. And It's very similar to that one, but it's not. It has, this is Elmore Sperry Aviation, Lawrence and Elmore Sperry Aviation Pioneers, an airmail stamp. Another Christmas stamp with a toy horse on it. Might as well put it on this page. Here is a US mail, very post office-y looking stamp, but I don't think I've ever seen it. Edgar Lee Masters, I think we've seen that one. Here's a Franklin turn of the century stamp. Here's a James Buchanan 1930s stamp. This is the Verrazano Narrows Bridge in New Jersey to Staten Island. Wait a minute, no. Staten Island to Brooklyn, I guess. Yeah. Here's one from the fly fishing series that was popular in the 90s. The Apt Tarpon Fly. I think it was like 1990 when this came out. Here is American Shoals, Florida, and we got a Coast Guard cutter and this lighthouse, which is very cool. This is Plant for More Beautiful Cities. That's a nice one. I'll put it here. And and for that little spot, we'll put this frilled dog winkle stamp. Here's Emily Bissell, Crusader Against Tuberculosis. The Roanoke Voyagers, North Carolina, 1584. Here's an energy conservation stamp, very colorful. 10-cent stamp. '200th anniversary of Nassau Hall. Huh. Here's one of the early unperforated stamps. I remember when this one came out and people hated it. But this is an early sticker stamp. It was the 90s. Here's a love, peace on earth love stamp from the 80s. Or possibly the 90s. Here's another one of those neat science fiction stamps with some Buck Rogers looking characters with the jetpacks. And not to be outdone, here's another space stamp with a space shuttle benefiting mankind. Very beautiful stamp. William T. Piper, aviation pioneer. Now let's do one more. And let's do this Christmas manger scene stamp. The National Art Gallery. Okay, well I think this will wrap up today's video. And we filled up some more pages. And the album is looking good. Look at all of that. Quite a lot of history here, a lot of very cool stamps. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, if you like my channel, please subscribe, click the bell icon, and leave a comment. Bye.